CYA, cyanuric acid, chlorine stabilizer. What is it? What do we do if we got too much of it? Well, that's the discussion today. So let's just jump straight in. So welcome back to another 2-Minute Tuesday, and today we are talking about CYA. So that's cyanuric acid, or commonly known as chlorine stabilizer, or just stabilizer. So what is it? How much is too much? And how do we reduce that figure when it is too much? So it's basically sunscreen for chlorine, and what it does is it protects chlorine from UV. Now, obviously that sounds like a good thing, but again, too much of a good thing is also not a good thing. So 30 to 50 parts per million would be kind of like a nice comfortable zone to be in for typical pool using stabilized chlorine. If you are using like a salt system, or you're on a cal hypo or sodium hypochlorite injection system, then maybe kind of 80 to 100 parts per million could actually work quite well. But what you'll find is if you're using stabilized chlorine, over time that CYA level will build up and up and up, and then what will happen is your free chlorine, or the chlorine that actually kind of does the sanitization, starts dropping. So your total chlorine, you'll have loads of chlorine in, but what's actually working is actually very little. So what do we do when we get too much of it? Well, there's a couple of different options available to us, and they have varying kind of levels of success, and obviously varying price massively. So we'll talk about 3 today. So the first option we'll talk about is reverse osmosis. Now, in Jersey, that's not something that we would have available to us, so this is also potentially an issue with this type of treatment. And what it is you would need somebody with the equipment to be able to come to your pool and treat your pool. Now, it's really good for if you maybe are in a place where you can't put water to waste, and you might have to have it tanked out of the place, or it's difficult for you to get water back in, because what's happening with reverse osmosis is that you are basically recycling the water that's in your pool and re-energizing it and cleaning it up. So yeah, really good solution. However, that equipment is expensive if it's available to you, and obviously somebody's got to come and do the process, so that has a cost. So if it's available and suits your pool, great, sound. So the second option that we can talk about is enzymes. So there is enzymes that you can buy and introduce to the pool. I've not spoken to anybody that's actually said they work, so I know they are available, and yeah, obviously people have had varying success with them. I know there is caveats that you can't use like clarifiers or phosphate removers and such, for a couple of weeks before. But yeah, it's an option. If you've had, or if you've used it and you've had success with it, drop a comment below of what you actually used, and I'll look into it. I've just never spoken to anybody who's had great success with it, but it is an option, and we're going through some options today. Now, third option, which is probably the one we'd recommend, and it's probably the one that most pool companies would recommend actually, and that is to do a water change. Now, a water change doesn't need to be the whole pool, but it does need to be a meaningful amount. So don't expect to take a couple of inch off the top and to have dropped 40 parts per million. It's just not going to work like that. So it does need to be a meaningful amount. Now with that, there's a couple of considerations. Obviously, how long it's going to take to fill the pool back up. So are you going to need to carry on filtering the pool? Are you going to have to do a couple of partial water changes to make that much of a difference if you need to keep the pool in use? The other option, or the other consideration, is that the water that you're filling up from, is it good, fresh, clean water, or is it full of minerals like iron or copper or something like that? That's just a consideration, and obviously maybe need to be addressed. So you might need to bring in water or just filter it before you put it in your pool. Now, as always, consult your local pool experts, and it may even be a case that you need to take in a water sample and they can test it, and they'll be able to help you through the process and advise you. If you found the information in this video helpful, obviously please give the video a thumbs up. It definitely helps. If you'd like to know more about swimming pools and spa and water balance and more videos like this, obviously please subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.